see the mill there?
I can see.
In here, you can see the kiln pack entry to the dry mill.
I'm in the
150,000 lengths of timber per day are
kiln
finished, treated,
pack.
and packed. The tilt hoist is on your
It's
left.
getting
lift
up
boards
and
up to
it's
separate
very
kiln fillet sticks from
smooth
the
and there's
boards
so
and
much
transfer the
wood.
boards to the planer. The last line
I'm
of quality
picking up
tips
the
and
wood.
grading happens
Do you feel
here,
like you're there?
making sure
Yeah.
Hello again, WoodChatters. I'm Georgia, and this episode will be focusing on a Forest and Wood Products Australia initiative known as ForestLearning. The aim of this exciting program is to educate school children about the sustainable nature of the forestry and wood products industry, while aligning with the Australian curriculum outcomes. Various resources developed under the program have enabled students to engage with and understand the world of forestry, and even pay virtual visits to locations they would not normally have access to, all without leaving the classroom. The current situation with COVID-19 has meant that more than ever, teachers, parents and school children are seeking out new opportunities for remote learning. And for that reason, ForestLearning has continued to investigate, develop and roll out new resources. Sam recently caught up with Beth Weldon, manager of ForestLearning, to find out more about the program.
ForestLearning is an online one-stop shop for teachers around Australia to allow them to freely access online lesson plans, forest VR experiences and videos and virtual tours, activities, video clips, educational games and a whole lot more that are aligned to the Australian curriculum so that they meet the learning outcomes for students, but they're also embedded within learning about the real world, about sustainable forestry and wood processing.
What's inspired the program?
It was developed initially to refine and streamline the state-based education activities that were happening through forestry groups in each state. So they teamed together and they thought, how can we do this more effectively and at a national level? So that's how ForestLearning came about. And the Australian Education Forest Alliance was formed. And so that group works with ForestLearning to help guide and direct some of the content that's needed to develop the teaching resources, and linking those with teacher association groups who write the resources. So it's actually, the resources on there are written by teachers, for teachers, but with industry input, and that's a really good synergy that we've found.
And so then, are there advantages to getting that message communicated early in people's lives? Is it the earlier the better?
Yes, it certainly is. And that's why ForestLearning resources are available from foundation or kindergarten to year 12 and aligned to the Australian curriculum across a broad range of subject areas. And the reason for this comes down to really when we start to form our attitudes and beliefs about issues and industries. There's much research surrounding how our attitudes to all manner of things, and our attitudes not only reflect where we've come from, so family, friends and experiences and their influence on our attitudes, but also how we will proceed with our life in the future. So attitudes bear down on things such as social license for industries to operate, as well as our voting choices, consumer decisions about everyday products and much more. And one of the problems with our attitudes, once they are firmly established, is that we often ignore any future information given to us which is not consistent with them. So for us as an industry, it's really important that we raise student awareness surrounding sustainable forest management, the carbon sequestration story in trees and how that's helping solve climate change, as well as the renewable wood product story and all the other great news stories that we have to help inform attitudes based on the truth of the industry. And what attitudes senior high school students hold towards our industry will also influence their career and training decisions. So it becomes not only an issue about attitudes, but also about the industry's future workforce.
And it sounds like some of the activities and initiatives have been really ahead of the game in terms of providing online educational content that can be used not only by teachers in the classroom, but also by students and parents at home. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's to the credit of Forest and Wood Products Australia and its members that they've really recognised the future of education lies online. that we need to invest in online and accessible resources that have no tyranny of distance. So we don't need a physical person in a physical classroom. We need to provide resources that are relevant, that are engaging, that the students can have fun learning about, and provide them in a way that is accessible to all students, no matter where they are in Australia. That's why all of our resources are freely available online, and the COVID crisis has refined our vision to ask what gaps there are that we can be filling for teachers to make our resources more helpful and more useful, particularly online and for home learning students. So that's really driven us to a few new initiatives.
Amongst many other things, Beth told us about Forester Time, an initiative of the ForestLearning program that allows a classroom to connect via video link with forestry professionals in real time. It gives them the opportunity to ask questions and help further their understanding of the industry. Foreco, one of Tasmania's leading commercial plantation companies, raised its hand to be involved, with Plantation's forester Catherine Creswell nominated to talk to students. We spoke to her to find out more.
I dialed in on my iPad or my phone out in my work sites out in the field, and it was usually a monitor of some description in the classroom, and we just had a video chat basically. Different classes wanted different things. Some classes were quite interactive and I asked questions and they asked questions, so we got the right way. I touched base with all the teachers beforehand, said, look, what is your class up to? Is there any particular areas of interest? It was very different for each group. I had very distinct classes. I had a couple of classes from rural areas and they were really interested in like how we went about the machinery we used, the big scale stuff, because I worked it back to they work in big rural areas and they're used to the big machinery. And whereas when I talked to the urban schools, they were more interested in the environmental side of why we did what we did. One of the groups I talked to was actually the school of air based out of Katherine, and trying to talk about, well, they grow livestock. They pick the best mum cow and the best dad cow to get the best baby cows. I do exactly the same thing. I pick the best tree for that environment to breed it with another tree to create an even better tree. I really hope that they'll get a better understanding of what plantation forestry is and what it involves. So the simple thing of being able to identify the difference between a native forest and a plantation forest, understanding of, well, yes, we chop down the trees, but we also plant them back up again and grow them again, and they're an environmentally stable and sustainable thing that we use, and they can be used for lots of different things. It's not just firewood these trees are used for. They're used to make tools and tables and clothes, and those really basic things were, for me, what I wanted to try and convey the message of we're doing a good thing. We're not ruining beautiful environments. We're trying to enhance them and trying to do a good thing for the environment at the same time.
And now, more from Beth.
The ForestLearning website is a repository of all of our online resources that teachers can access to explore different topics around renewable forests and sustainable timber products. So they've been used widely by teachers of geography, design and technologies, agriculture, science, mathematics, HASS, English, outdoor learning and many more. So there's a whole range of different subject areas that can incorporate context for learning surrounding our sustainable forests and wood products. And we're expanding on those all the time. So as we identify potential gaps, we work with our peak teacher association partners and industry members to expand our current suite of teaching resources. That's really exciting to see these gaps being filled so that more teachers across various year levels and subject areas will be able to deliver lessons using them in their classrooms.
The resources include worksheets and activity books like the Wild Forest Adventure. By getting to know cartoon characters in a comic book format, this resource includes puzzles, word and number games, and has been especially designed for students to provide interesting and relevant information about the forest environment in a stimulating and fun way.
We wanted to get further information on the program from a user's perspective. And with that in mind, we spoke to Justin Elliott, a teacher from Sacred Heart Secondary College in Melbourne, to find out how he's been using the resources to engage students.
The resources that I specifically target is the one from the Forestry Corporation, which looks at, it's titled the Wild Forest Adventure. The Wild Forest Adventure task, I target that to Year 7 level. I think it's a really good resource, particularly really pertinent at the moment, given that we're all working remotely. So for me to be able to send the resource out for kids to be able to work on is brilliant. So I'm using it as a resource to focus on how does it go from being within a forest situation to something that we can use within the classroom. With the resource that we use, that online resource, as opposed to me handing out the old school book, is a little bit more engaging. The fact that they're able to, in Year 8, Year 9, be able to draw back on it tells me that they've obviously engaged with it. Certainly a better understanding of the timber process, the milling process, a greater respect for the timbers, and an understanding of probably our ecosystem, what forestries provide in terms of habitats for our native fauna.
One of the most innovative elements of the Forest Learning program is Forest VR, which allows students to experience forest and mill environments firsthand through the magic of virtual reality. This immersive technology provides teachers and parents with novel ways to engage learners by allowing them to visit places they wouldn't otherwise have access to.
So Forest Learning provides teachers with online resources, but the question still remained, how can we get students and teachers to experience forests in person? And that is often very difficult for people living in the cities to access a forest or even a sawmill or a wood processing facility. That is almost impossible unless you're to get on a plane or have a week-long excursion trip. Forest VR resources. It's a way of being able to showcase the renewable cycle from seed to shelter at every step along that cycle to show to people, okay, you cannot access 28 locations that we did to film the complete cycle. So here it is for you. Look around in the 360 space and feel as if you're there. And to have a look at how students can interact in that space and to see it firsthand rather than on a worksheet or on a video. The other good thing about virtual reality is it's not just confined to virtual reality headsets. So a lot of schools, that's beyond their reach, but most schools, if not all schools, will have access to class sets of iPads. And so that is another way that we can access Forest VR resources through that as a magic window. So as the student turns the iPad up and down and around in a 360 space, they will be seeing that environment from as if they're looking through that magic window, they call it in virtual reality terms.
What response and reactions have you witnessed in students as they've been experiencing this technology?
And I think that's the most exciting thing. I've been running some pilots myself with local schools just to get feedback in terms of refining the resources. And I must say, particularly the primaries, but even the high school students, it's a whole body experience for them. It's not just passively sitting and watching, but they use their whole body to explore that 360 space. And it's really exciting and fun. And they certainly remember a lot more from the experience than if I was to just tell them some words about the forestry cycle.
We were really fascinated by this innovation, but we decided we really needed to get the verdict from the people who really matter. And that is, of course, the school kids themselves. And so we did exactly that.
Hi, my name's Heath and I'm in grade 5. I'm so excited to try this Forest VR.
Australian communities have enjoyed the beauty function.
So you're on a swivel chair, aren't you, Heath? So you can see in 360 more easily by just swiveling. You tell us what you can see.
Now I'm inside Traffer's harvester.
Have you ever been in a harvester before, Heath?
No.
Do you think you'd ever get a chance to go in a harvester?
Maybe if I be a forester.
That's true. What's happening now?
They're cutting up the trees and stacking them into piles.
Trainee and working on this forwarder to collect around 6 products in the harvested strip.
And now we're at the log landing.
The forwarder is stacking the logs into piles, ready for the loader.
Wow, that's a big truck and a lot of wood.
You're flying into the log yard here at a soft...
At the pine mill.
Bark is on sold to become mulch for gardens and other products.
It's good that nothing's wasted. And I can see them thinning the wood.
Right in front of you are the automated bin saws.
And the automated bin saws.
So tell me your reactions about seeing something in virtual reality compared to, say, YouTube for kids or something. What's the difference?
It feels like I'm actually in the scene. It's like one person's talking to just me. I thought that when you put the wood into the mill, it burns carbon dioxide, which I thought for a long time, but then after seeing this video, I realised that it was actually steam, and I also learnt that nothing gets wasted. I care about it being steam, not carbon dioxide, because we hate global warming.
Hi, my name's Finn and I'm in grade 2 and I like Forest VR.
Working on this forwarder to collect around 6 products in the
There's
harvested
wood.
and takes them to the log landing.
He's taking the wood to the
At the landing, the forwarder is stacking the logs into piles, ready for the loader.
They're stacking the logs ready for the powder.
The loader lifts
And
the
now
logs onto
the
haulage
loader-
trucks on their way to the
The
loader.
loader lifts the logs onto the loader truck.
You're flying into the log yard.
I think that's the end, Finn. So what did you think?
I think that it was very good and you can make houses out of wood.
And what did you learn that was something new?
Wood is important for people so they can make like a house.
Good idea. Do you know any other things made from wood?
Tree house, paper, a door, and a table.
And what was the best thing about seeing that journey on the virtual reality? How did it make you feel?
It was like I was in there.
And now more from Beth.
We've been exploring new ways that we can help teachers in classrooms as well as parents with students learning at home in these most crazy of times, particularly with so many struggling at home printing out worksheets, which in full reality can add up to hundreds of pages over a week of learning. And as we know, a lot of parents don't even have access to printers. So that's why we've looked to go fully online with as many of our resources as possible. And we've made a lot of progress in this task already by transferring some of our resources that are multimedia video with an accompanying Q&A worksheet into an online Kahoot quiz. Kahoot, we've found, is a very easily accessible and free to use online software platform that teachers already use within their classroom. It also makes the learning journey a lot more interactive and fun. And the great thing for teachers also is that there is immediate feedback for assessment purposes. So it's not just a fun thing to do watching a video clip, but it has educational outcomes as well.
Have you had feedback from teachers, particularly since the restrictions we've been living under due to COVID-19?
Many teachers, and I really applaud all of the Australian teachers out there who have done it really tough in going from a fully face-to-face contact with students to a fully online presence, oftentimes without the technology that's required to do that well. So it's been amazing to see the adoption of technology now. And I'm sure, and I've heard, and I talk to teachers and they're saying actually a lot of these tools will see us into the new phase of getting back face-to-face. So I'm going to keep going with my OneNote. I'm going to keep going with a lot of my virtual webinars that I've been accessing online with the students. Yeah. For that engagement. They've seen the engagement that students get from that. And also students are very technology savvy. So it's allowing teachers to see and to meet them where they're at in terms of that technology and to meet their needs in terms of a variety of different platforms in how we can engage. And engagement's really important because without interest then we don't learn as well. And this is one way of using not only ForestLearning resources online but also the Forest VR and the soon-to-be released apps, which is really exciting, that teachers will be able to use this technology in a really fun, engaging, but also deep meaning for learning.
And as Beth mentioned there, Forest VR is now available via the ForestLearning website or by downloading the recently launched Forest VR app, which is available via the App Store, Google Play, or through Oculus Go. Content and experiences within the app can be viewed using tablets, laptops, and VR headsets, making it accessible in all environments. The app also allows content to be downloaded natively to devices, overcoming any Wi-Fi buffering issues. And extra functionality is made possible through the app, with teachers able to directly start, stop, or pause video experiences for whole-of-class activities.
What an exciting program. It's vitally important to engage young people around the benefits of forestry before they grow up to become leaders, policymakers, and consumers. We've really enjoyed hearing about it through each of our guests' perspectives. It's such a promising initiative, and we can't wait to see how the program grows and develops in the future, particularly as our society navigates towards a new normal and people continue to look for new opportunities for remote learning. And that brings us to the end of another episode of WoodChat. We hope you found the episode as interesting as we have. And for more information on ForestLearning or any other FWPA projects, you can head to www.fwpa.com.au. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again next time for more fascinating wood-based news.